when I started, a lot of people saw it as something really weird. You know, most times when someone is thinking of raffia, they're thinking of masquerade, they're thinking of juju, you know. Okay, so this is actually a runner rock across the room. There are other things that are going to be. So I just use paper, cut it. We don't have weather problems, you know, weather changes. We don't need to like overhaul our wardrobe because we are changing to another weather, you know. So yeah, so when it comes to that fashion waste, we don't have that kind of problem. The kind of fashion we want to sustain in Nigeria is the kind of fashion that is profitable and is beneficial for the people, you know. And so with raffia, for me, using raffia is beneficial for my people, and the process of achieving this raffia is not destructive. To the pounding, and so once this is ready and
So you know, when I saw that raffia stuff, I immediately, my brain came back to Femi David's outfit at AMVCA Cultural Day. That was when I understood what he was trying to do, but maybe the way he placed it was not really understandable. So the fact is this: you can make something look beautiful from how creative you are. See how creative she could make raffia look, and how beautiful she could make it look on outfits that we wear. Raffia that we know that they use in roofing houses and all that. Anyways, that's all we have for you in the news segment this hour. We'll go on a very short break, and when we return, I would reveal my guest to you. So stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still watching E-Vibes, the entertainment show on Signature TV. Live here right now in the studio with me is Collins Aharawan. He's an actor, producer, and director. We'll be talking about tradition meets innovation in filmmaking. We've had him once before where he spoke about something totally different. So that's why now I want to talk about filmmaking as a director. So thanks for joining us, Collins. So how do you feel? How is the weather treating you?
Fine. It's, the weather used to be very harsh.
But now,
for some time now, it's been raining, so
it's cool.
Yes.
All right. So what would you say about traditional filmmaking?
Traditional filmmaking. Well, I will say that it's cool, yeah, traditional. Talking about the way things are made.
In those days, yes.
Okay, that's it's not bad because everything is it's about time, stages. So remember, those years there were patterns, ways films were made, and that was because of the things we had in place then.
Okay.
The equipment, the locations, and the lifestyle as of then.
Okay.
So and now things have actually changed. That changed. The things have changed. They have a new lifestyle, quality equipment, better locations and all that. So things have taken a step ahead of what it used to be.
So would you say that you're proud of the way Nollywood has evolved, especially when it comes to filmmaking? Like you said, locations and the likes. Would you say that Nollywood has evolved, and would you also say that we don't have such locations anymore to produce films like that?
Well, I will say I am proud of Nollywood to some extent, and at the same time I am not proud of Nollywood in some areas.
So which one should I ask you now? Is it the proud part or the not being proud part? Okay. Why are you not proud of Nollywood to some extent?
Okay. Whichever way you ask the question, the two of them must be touched.
Yes,
if
yes.
I say this, I will have to balance.
Yes, you will.
So I'm going by the way you asked it, asking why am I not proud? Okay. Now, if you look at the way things are now, I grew up following, or I grew up a lover of film. There was a time Hollywood was the in thing.
Yeah.
If you're not watching Commando, all those ones, Schwarzenegger, them, it's as if you're not watching film.
Yeah.
Then our own films were very local then, but we were still appreciating those making the films as of then. Now, the Hollywood I know, as time progressed, they kept improving. If you watch an Hollywood film made this year, you can't compare to that of Hollywood film made like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Then, but in our own case, Nollywood, it's as if the ones who made in the olden days are better than the ones we're doing now. I don't know. The only places we improve is only when you talk about the equipment, talk about the technical aspect of it. But the story itself, the story, in fact, the stories we are telling these days are not the things that are familiar to our people. Because filmmaking is all about a people. Yes, you must tell your story the way it's related to your people. I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why the whites seems to appreciate our films when we are indigenous.
Okay, like the epic movies we have and the likes.
You cannot be telling a white man a story of love. You're telling a white man a love story. Whereas we know that they painted the love to us. We have a way we treated love, or we handled love in our own way here. Before they now brought their own pattern. Now, you now want to tell them how to love in their pattern. To them, it will look like you're making mockery of the whole thing.
Okay, let me cut you short there, right? Because as a matter of fact, it's not just love movies that we make, especially when it comes to those cinema movies, right? So now you're saying the movies we make now, it's not in line with the story, right? Now you're a movie director. And we had a guest who is a screen/script writer who said the director is the go-to person that has the final say in the movie. All right. So if you as a director, you're saying that the movie is not in line with the storyline, that means we should hold.
Good morning. Welcome to Global News on Signature TV. I'm Charles Pius. In the headlines, President Tinubu to visit Rome on Saturday following an invitation from Pope Leo XIV. Nigeria to launch 4 satellites for Earth observation and security. U.S. Supreme Court grapples with Trump bid to restrict birthright citizenship, and Sinner thrashes Rhodes will face Paul in Italian Open semis. Details shortly.
We are local.
We are right now with the wife of the man that was...
Why the main market is in chaos. People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye.
We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
President Bola Tinubu will or is scheduled to depart Nigeria for Rome, Italy on Saturday, following an official invitation from the newly elected Catholic pontiff, Pope Leo XIV. The invitation was announced in a statement by Tinubu's special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo ENUGU. The president is expected to attend a solemn mass marking the inauguration of Pope Leo XIV, the 267th Bishop of Rome and head of the Roman Catholic Church. The invitation extended by Cardinal Pietro Parolin on behalf of the Pope Leo XIV emphasized the importance of President Tinubu's presence at this moment of particular importance for the Catholic Church and the world afflicted by many tensions and conflicts. President Tinubu will be accompanied by several leaders, including the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Bianca Odumegwu Ojukwu, Archbishop Lucius Ugochi, President of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria, and Archbishop of Owerri, Archbishop Ignatius Kaigama of Abuja, and Archbishop Alfred Martins of Lagos. Also joining the presidential delegation is the Bishop of the Sokoto Diocese, Matthew Hassan Kuka. Pope Leo XIV was elected by the conclave of cardinals following the passing of Pope Francis on April 21. His inauguration is scheduled to take place on Sunday at St. Peter's Square in the Vatican. President Tinubu is expected to return to Abuja on May 20 after concluding his engagement in Rome. President Bola Tinubu has received a letter of credence from Sheikh Omar Coulibaly, the newly appointed ambassador of the Republic of Mali to Nigeria. The diplomatic engagement comes despite Mali's recent withdrawal from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, following a military coup. In a message conveyed to Malian leader General Assimi Goïta, President Tinubu reaffirms Nigeria's commitment to supporting Mali's democratic transition and enhancing economic cooperation between the two nations. In response, Ambassador Coulibaly thanks President Tinubu for his leadership in the sub-region and across Africa. He commended Nigeria's consistent role in peacekeeping and its contributions to United Nations missions throughout the continent. President Tinubu also received letters of credence from the 5 other foreign envoys, emphasizing the need for stronger international collaboration to promote global peace, mutual understanding, and shared prosperity. Those who presented their letters of credence included Ambassador Bengt van Lostrach of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, High Commissioner Celestine Gavas Kakele of the United Republic of Tanzania, non-resident Ambassador Dr. Sabit Subasic of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Ambassador Audrey Lozovic Podelshev of the Russian Federation, and Ambassador Patrick Egloff of Switzerland. The United Kingdom has expressed optimism about the growing potential for business and investment in Nigeria, citing the country's ongoing economic reforms and improving trade environment. British High Commissioner to Nigeria Richard Montgomery made this known during a press conference held in Abuja at the UK-Nigeria Economic Growth Conference, TWIS. The theme, Driving Sustainable Trade and Investment. Montgomery noted that Nigeria is becoming increasingly attractive for international investors, particularly in areas of trade and economic cooperation. He said the UK's positive outlook on Nigeria's economic trajectory has elevated its status as a key partner in the region. He attributed renewed investor confidence to the bold economic reforms introduced by the President Bola Tinubu's administration, which have already led to increased revenues in several states, an indicator of economic growth and the potential for job creation. He outlined 3 key pillars guiding the UK's trade relationship with Nigeria: support for economic reform, increased market accessibility, and the long-term strategic partnership. Mark Smithson, Country Director for the UK's Department for Business and Trade in Nigeria, also highlights the enhanced trade and investment partnership as a cornerstone of the UK's broader bilateral relations with Nigeria. Smithson noted that Nigeria is the UK's second largest trading partner in Africa and its largest export market on the continent, reinforcing the importance of deepening economic ties between the two nations. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN Justice Kudirat Motomori Kekerekun, has expressed hope that the nation's judiciary is on the path to overcoming its current challenges and regaining public confidence. Speaking in Abuja at a valedictory court session held in honor of the late Supreme Court Justice Emmanuel Obioma Ogwebu, who passed away on October 28, 2024 at the age of 91, the CJN acknowledged that issues such as delayed justice delivery, dwindling public trust, and the resource limitations have hindered the judiciary's smooth operation. However, she emphasized that these challenges are not insurmountable. Paying tribute to the late jurist, she described him as a man whose life and service enriched Nigerian law with wisdom, compassion, and profound legal insight. Justice Ogwebu said was more than a judge. He was a symbol of justice and a torchbearer whose legal career spanned over 4 decades of unwavering dedication to the bench. In his tribute, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Prince Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, urged judicial officers to rise to the demands of their role and uphold justice without fear or favor. He also praised the late justice for his remarkable contributions to the legal profession. Also speaking, President of the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, Mazi Afamosigwe, noted that the true measure of a judge lies not in the tenure length or case volume, but in the depth, integrity, and impact of their judgment. The federal government has approved the launch of 4 satellites to aid Earth observation and fight against insecurity in the country. The Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Uche Naji, who disclosed this at the 22nd National Council on Innovation, Science and Technology held in Abuja, said the satellites consisted of 3 Earth observation satellites and 1 radar aperture satellite. The minister said an interministerial committee on research and innovation was reviewing the National Science, Technology and Innovation Policy and strategizing on the institution of the National Research and Innovation Fund. Naji said the cycle of research, development, innovation and commercialization had built renowned economies and technological giants, and that Nigeria should also tap into its potential. The president of the African University of Science and Technology, Azigwe Onwalo, recommended an increase in R&D spending to 3% of the nation's gross domestic product. Onwalo said the country required more clusters and hubs through the integration of academia, industry, and startups in project initiatives. The Nasarawa Police Command has apprehended a 21-year-old woman, Fatima Salisu, suspected of being an arms trafficker following credible intelligence. The command spokesperson Ramala Ransel, who disclosed in a statement, said Salisu was arrested for alleged smuggling of ammunition through Kiana and Doma areas of Nasarawa for criminals in Katsina, where she resides. Ransel said the command's anti-kidnapping unit, acting swiftly on the intelligence tip-off, acted with precision, leading to the arrest of the suspect and the recovery of 400 rounds of 7.62 by 39mm ammunition and 81 rounds of 7.62mm NATO ammunition. The suspect, according to the statement, is now in custody and undergoing rigorous interrogation as investigators work to dismantle the arms trafficking network and trace its possible links to armed banditry and terrorism. Nancy stated that the arrest represents a major breakthrough in combating illicit arms trafficking and criminal activity in the area. A suspected vandal met a tragic end after being electrocuted while attempting to tamper with an armored electrical cable at the State Secretariat complex in Dutse. Spokesperson of the command, Shisu Lawan Adam, who confirmed the incident to newsmen, said, upon receiving the reports, police were mobilized to the scene where they discovered the lifeless body of an unidentified male adult under a culvert slab that contained armored cable wiring. Shisu said preliminary investigation revealed that the deceased was electrocuted while attempting to vandalize armored electrical cables connected to a high-voltage power source, and said body, which had begun decomposing, has been evacuated to the Dutse General Hospital. He said the command strongly condemns the criminal act and warns members of the public against engaging in such outrageous and unlawful activities. Shishu said investigation is in progress. Still to come, UNTH nursing students drum the benefits of exclusive breastfeeding to nursing mothers. Japa, 30% of Lagos workers sent abroad for training failed to return. Stay with us.
We are local.
We are right now with the wife of the man that was
Why the main market is in chaos. People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye.
we have taken the bill by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, has called on members of the public to play an active role in promoting the production and use of quality goods across the country. During a public sensitization forum held in Yola, SON encouraged Nigerians to act as watchdogs by identifying and reporting manufacturers of substandard products for necessary regulatory action. Speaking at the event, the head of corporate affairs at SON, Talatu Ethan, who represented the Director General, Dr. Ifeanyi Okeke, urged consumers to purchase only products that display clear manufacturing addresses and to always demand receipts. This, she said, ensures traceability and accountability in cases where quality concerns arise. Ethan also encouraged Nigerians Ethan also encouraged Nigerians to prioritize locally made products, stressing that promoting indigenous goods strengthens the economy and builds national pride. Also speaking at the events, the Northeast Regional Director of SON, James Yagzom, reiterated the agency's commitment to eliminating fake and substandard goods from the Nigerian market. He warned consumers against buying items without a visible, verifiable manufacturing address, noting that such goods are often difficult to trace for complaints or enforcement action. The sensitization program drew participants from various sectors, including certified manufacturers and stakeholders, all of whom were urged to collaborate with SON in building a safer and more reliable market environment. The nursing students from the University of Nigeria ENUGU campus have taken a bold step of reaching out to mothers outside the hospital environment. The outreach, which is the grand finale of their Community Health Week, took to the students to the Umuchibo and Umwewene health centers in Enugu East local government area with their central message focusing on health benefits of exclusive breastfeeding for the least 6 months. Correspondent Chinememi Kebunam witnessed the outreach.
The hospital facilities and other paraphernalia of the UNTH Enugu practically moved from the hospital to the Umuchibo and Umwenewene health centers in Enugu East local government area. And that way, the Department of Nursing Sciences wanted to make their impact felt in the community in line with their professional calling. In commemoration of the 6 weeks community health outreach in the academic calendar of the nursing department, the Umuchibo and Umwenewene health centers were part of the celebrations. The occasion brought to an end the successful public health service rendered to these communities by the University of Nigeria nursing students. The ceremony was attended by a large number of health practitioners, nursing mothers, nursing students, administrative staff, lecturers, community members, and their leaders, parents, and spouses. The event commenced with free public health services, followed by an intensive health session where health experts shared diverse knowledge on the importance of breastfeeding in promoting infant health and development.
This is like our grand finale where we take care of people to know like their health status, and then we give free drugs to people in the community. I've attended to up to 30 people so far.
It's a great opportunity. It's wonderful because most of the time the issues we have is that people will have sickness for the cost of getting diagnosed and so no, the right treatment has always been. So this is actually helpful and is very good.
Dr. Ijomi Ilo, in her welcome address, expressed appreciation to the initiators of the Community Health Week. She said it was a wonderful idea that it was included in the department's calendar, stating that it's a way of bridging the gap between health experts and the community.
Health Day of the Community Health Unit of the Department of Nursing Sciences, UNEC, was initiated by Professor Mrs. Ijoma Ehiemere in an effort to bridge the gap between theory and practice for our students. It started as a feasibility study organized by Professor Ijoma Ehiemere and Professor Ezendoka of blessed memory. The first annual Health Day was held in 1998 at Ugogo here in Nike.
Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences and Technology, Professor Charles Ezema, noted that the community health program provides a valuable opportunity for students to contribute to the communities.
Makes great impact on both economic recovery, reduction in health problems, morbidity and mortality rate, because so many people could not afford the cost of medical care, so that when the health care is taken to the community, so they benefit. So they are here to assess, diagnose, and treat especially children and elderly, people that have cases.
Lecturers from the department emphasized the numerous benefits associated with breastfeeding, urging nursing mothers to practice exclusive breastfeeding.
It's a win for the child, it's a win for the community, it's a win for the family. A win for the child. A healthy child is a child who is exclusively breastfed and continuously complementary feeding. And this child is less prone to illnesses. This child is healthy, mighty, strong, immunity-wise, and every other.
According to the nursing students, breastfeeding is essential for the health and well-being of babies, mothers, and the community at large, as highlighted by their shared insights during the event.
Breastfeeding is of utmost importance to an infant. First of all, I'll talk about colostrum, the first milk, the yellowish colored milk that a mother produces first. It gives the baby like a balanced diet. The baby doesn't need any other thing. Also, it gives antibodies, like it gives the first line of defense an infant needs. So a baby that is constantly taking breast milk, that's exclusive breastfeeding, will not suffer any illness that is like rampant among children.
What inspired the community health is actually to reach out to the community, teach them things they need to know about health, help the community build our community. Our team for this event particularly is breastfeed a child, feed the community. So for this particular program, we brought it to teach the community, especially young mothers, pregnant women and the rest, how to feed a child, right? To breastfeed a child, take care of the child till the baby is 6.
By emphasizing the importance of breastfeeding, the nursing students aim to inspire positive change and encourage a supportive environment for nursing mothers. In ENUGU East Local Government Headquarters, Chinemerem Ikebunam reporting for Signature TV News.
Former Governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, has commended the Registrar of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, Ishaq Oloyede, for admitting to glitches in the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME, but said such errors should be avoided in the future. Obi, who wrote on his X handle, said the open admission of fault and the expression of deep remorse by the registrar stand out as a rare but commendable display of accountability in public institutions. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 election, however, said that efforts should be made to prevent a similar occurrence, insisting that there must be no room for further glitches either in JAMB or any other arm of government. According to Obi, the cost of repeated failure is simply too high for a country or any individuals or groups to bear. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has resolved to investigate a technical error that allegedly compromised the results of the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME, conducted by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB. The resolution was passed during plenary following the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance sponsored by Adewale Adebayo, representing Osun State. Adebayo noted that any candidate that their families endured long-distance travels to examination centers only to face unexpected failures and called for an investigation to the technical lapses to prevent future occurrences. Another lawmaker, Sadas Soli from Katsina State, acknowledged the role of the JAMB registrar in improving the board's revenue since his appointment. The House urged the federal government to establish computer-based test CBT centers in all local government areas of the country to ease access to examination centers. It instructed JAMB to release the results of the candidates under 16 years, which had been previously withheld. The investigation by the Green Chamber is expected to assess the root causes of the error and recommend solutions to prevent future occurrences. The Lagos State government has expressed concern over the rising number of civil servants who fail to return to Nigeria after being sponsored for training abroad. According to the Commissioner for Establishment and Training, Afolabi Ayatayo, nearly 30% of government-sponsored trainees have absconded, leaving their posts upon completing their international programs. Ayatayo made this known during a press briefing held to mark the second anniversary of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's second term in office. He attributed the growing trend to the popular JAPAP movement, a term widely used to describe the wave of Nigerians emigrating in search of better opportunities overseas. The Commissioner disclosed that between May 2022 and December 2024, a total of 23,420 civil servants had benefited from various training programs aimed at improving the efficiency of public service delivery. This included more than 185 capacity-building initiatives focusing on leadership development, regulatory compliance, and sector-specific skills enhancement. Anyatayo emphasized the government's commitment to upskilling the workforce, but noted that the alarming rate of non-returning trainees poses a challenge to manpower development and governance continuity. The Lagos State government has told residents of the state to report persons collecting tenancy agreements fees beyond the stipulated 10% to relevant authorities. Speaking at the 2025 ministerial press briefing held at the press center in Ikeja, the special advisor to the governor on housing, Barakat Odunuga Bakari, noted that the activities of some agents in the state are making life hard for the citizens of Lagos State. Bakari, who said the agreements and commissions are like asking for an arm and a leg, told members of the public not to keep silent, but to report such agents and landlords to the government, since governments cannot be everywhere, every time. She maintained that the government will not tolerate the imposition of excessive tenancy agreement fees, reminding all stakeholders within the states that the stipulated maximum remains 10% of the annual rent. While acknowledging that the growing population in Lagos is a factor in the housing challenge, the special advisor said that the government has met with stakeholders, including the associations of real estate agents, who have assured that the people engaging in such practices are not registered agents. Earlier, the Lagos Commissioner for Housing, Moruf Akinderu Fatai, said the state is thinking about introducing monthly and quarterly rent options for residents to provide relief for the citizens. In line with their monthly Community Development Service, CDS, some members of the National Youth Service Corps serving in Obingwa local government area, Abia State, were seen at strategic locations within the Aba metropolis, especially around the Ehebere Market, Opobo Junction area of Obo Hill, about cleaning up the environment. The Corps members were seen in numbers picking up debris along the road gutters and disposing the refuse in order to ensure the cleanliness of the environment. Speaking to Signature TV, they explained that they were elated to be part of the Corps to serve the nation, explaining that environmental sanitation was one of the key requirements for the prevention of diseases and their escalation to epidemic proportion.
For sanitation, to clear the environment, and then some things for the market women and then the market men also. So that's why we're at Okobo Junction. And that's our is a deal that we can, is something that we can do. That is a compulsory something that we can do every month and every Thursday of the month, of the week also. So we come out to perform our CDS, the community development to the society, and then to the Abia State and Obingwa to be precise.
We came here to do our monthly CDS, Community Development Service, and I'm under the Disaster Management CDS. And we are here at Okobo Market to also advise the women on the dangers of flood and also how to keep the environment clean, as Alex Oakley is already trying to make Abia clean. So we try to put our quotas into the. My experience in Abia as a core member, it has not been easy, but we thank God, especially with the language barrier. As a Yoruba girl, I'm trying to use pidgin English to rock everywhere, but small we dey learn Igbo.
Reacting on the exercise, the Zone B Aba Zone Coordinator of Abia Harmonized Task Force, Carlo Williams Onyeka, appreciated the Corps members for the efforts, while also citing constructive engagement with residents of Aba to have contributed in the cleanliness of the city.
What we use to get to Okobo Junction the way it is today is diplomacy and constructive engagement. because we've been engaging with the public here, the traders, the transporters, the riders, and all interested in Popo Junction. We've been engaging with them, and I think it's leading a great result. Everywhere is quite covered, and in every area and zone that we are doing within their, looking at the peculiar nature of that area, and I want to say that we are doing tremendously well.
2 persons have been murdered at Ebebelu village, Nanka, in Orumba North local government area of Anambra State by yet to be identified armed men operating on a motorcycle. One of those murdered has been identified as a legal practitioner who had earlier secured the bail of an accused person in a pending murder case at the Ekulobia High Court in the Aguata local government area. A statement signed by the Police Public Relations Officer for the Anambra State Police Command, Tochukwu Ikenga, said that State Commissioner of Police Ikoyi Orutugu led a team of senior officers that visited the crime scene on Thursday. Ikenga noted that preliminary investigations suggest that the victims were attacked while returning from the court session by the assailants that may have trailed them, who later double-crossed and shot them. One of the victims who survived the attack and is currently receiving medical treatment at a hospital is providing crucial information that is aiding ongoing investigation and manhunt. The Commissioner of Police has already deployed tactical and intelligence teams to track down the perpetrators, while a red Toyota Camry believed to belong to one of the deceased was recovered from the scene. A federal high court in Ikoyi, Lagos has dismissed a preliminary objection filed by Lafarge Africa plc seeking a lawsuit challenging the proposed sale of its majority shares to Chinese company Huaxin Cements Limited. Justice Lewis Alagua ruling affirmed the court's jurisdiction to hear the suit filed by Strategic Consultancy Limited, a Nigerian firm and minority shareholder in Lafarge. The court's decision represents a legal setback for Lafarge, which had sought to strike out the suit on the grounds of jurisdiction. Strategic Consultancy is contesting the planned sale of 83.81% of Lafarge shares currently held by the Holcim Group to Huaxin Cements, alleging the transaction was conducted secretly and without input from minority shareholders. In its filing, the plaintiff argued that the transaction contravenes key provisions of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, the Securities and Exchange Commission Act, and the Nigerian Investment Promotion Act. The firm, represented by Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Dr. D.A. Awosika, further claimed that the Huaxin Cement is not registered in Nigeria, thereby rendering the proposed deal unlawful under the Nigerian regulations. Lafarge, represented by Babatunde Fabonune, and Holcim Group, represented by Uzoma Azikiwe, SAN, had urged the courts to dismiss the case. However, Justice Alagua rejected their arguments. In a related ruling, the court also approved a strategic consultancy request to join Cari Cements BV, Netherlands, and Associated International Cements Limited, England, as the 5th and 6th defendant, respectively, after the respondents identified them as the entities holding the disputed shares. Upper Heads: insurgents tear down Russian junta flags in eastern Burkina Faso. Trump signs UAE guest book, teases destination unknown as Mideast trip nears conclusion. These and more after the break.
We are local.
We are right now with the wife of the man that was...
Why the main market is in chaos. People...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye.
We have taken it by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Unidentified insurgents were seen tearing down Russian and regional junta flags in eastern Burkina Faso as violence continues to escalate across the fragile Sahel region. Videos circulated on social media showed armed men on foot and motorcycles moving through the town of Diapaga near the borders with Niger and Mali. The flags targeted represented Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, 3 countries now under military rule following a series of coups since 2020, as well as Russia, which has expanded its influence in the region after Western powers were expelled. The location of the flag incidents was verified by marching utility posts, roundabout layouts, road configuration, and building outlines with satellite imagery of Diapaga. The incident comes amid a worsening security crisis across the Sahel, where various armed groups, including those affiliated with Islamic State and Al-Qaeda, have expanded their operations despite the military takeovers promising improved security. The 3 Sahelian juntas have severed traditional security partnerships with Western allies in favor of closer ties with Russia. Those mercenaries have deployed to the region despite mixed results in containing the insurgency. U.S. President Donald Trump said he would probably return to Washington on Friday after a Middle East trip that began on Tuesday, although he said it was almost destination unknown. Trump made the remarks as they signed a guest book during a final stop in the United Arab Emirates. Trump had hinted that he could stop in Istanbul for talks on Ukraine before returning to the U.S.
And it's an honor to be here. And the last 4 days have been really amazing. I think they've been amazing. But it shows you where our country can go. And I want to thank all of my team, Howard, Scott, everybody. They've done an amazing job. So we'll be leaving tomorrow, as you know. Almost destination unknown. Because we're getting calls, could you be here, could you be there? But probably going back to Washington, D.C. tomorrow. Some of you are going to be traveling with us. And I'm going to sign the guest book now, and we appreciate you've been, actually you've treated us, the media's treated us very fairly. Maybe because you're with me, I don't know, but they've treated us very fairly. It's been an amazing trip. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. And it's a great honor to be with you tonight. It's my honor.
Between Russia and Ukraine's leaders in Istanbul fizzled after Putin spurned a challenge to meet face-to-face with Zelensky, instead sending a second-tier delegation. Zelensky said Putin's decision not to attend but to send what he called a decorative lineup showed the Russian leader was not serious about ending the war. Russia accused Ukraine of trying to put on a show around the talks. Hopes of a major breakthrough were further dented by Trump, who said there would be no movement without the meeting between himself and Putin. Timing of any meeting between Trump and Putin would be decided after Trump ends his Middle East trip, his Secretary of State Rubio said. The United Arab Emirates is keen on continuing to expand ties with the United States. President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan told U.S. President Donald Trump during a meeting in Abu Dhabi, following a pledge to invest $1.4 billion in the U.S. Trump visited the UAE's capital city, the last stop of a tour of Gulf states after visiting Saudi Arabia and Qatar. The UAE president told Trump that the relationship between the two longtime security allies had taken a significant leap forward since Trump took office. He added that the UAE, which in March committed to a 10-year, $1.4 trillion investment framework in the United States, was keen to expand the friendship for the benefit of both countries.
And your wonderful brother came to Washington a few weeks ago, and he told us about your generous statement as to the $1.4 trillion. And all I could say is thank you very much. We will work very hard to deserve it. I have absolutely no doubt that the relationship will only get bigger and better. Your relationship and mine can't get better, so I can't say it's going to get better because it's at the highest level it can be. But our countries will work together. We've become a very hot country. We were not such a hot country 6 months ago. And now I think we're the hottest country, if you want to know the truth.
The UAE and the United States finalized a technology framework agreement expected to be signed later on Thursday that could give Abu Dhabi expanded access to advanced artificial intelligence chips from the United States. The U.S. Supreme Court wrestled over Donald Trump's attempts to broadly enforce its executive order to restrict birthright citizenship, a move that would affect thousands of babies born each year as the Republican president seeks a major shift in how the U.S. Constitution has long been understood. The justices heard arguments in the administration's emergency request to scale back injunctions issued by federal judges in Maryland, Washington, and Massachusetts, blocking Trump's directive nationwide. The judges found Trump's order a key part of the headline approach towards immigration, likely violates citizenship language in the Constitution's 14th Amendment.
157 years ago, we came together as a nation post-Civil War and said never again were we going to debate whether babies born on American soil are entitled to the rights and privileges of American citizenship. And contrary to what the United States is saying, citizenship doesn't turn on or turn off when you cross state lines. Babies born in Philadelphia are subject to the same rights and privileges as babies born in New Jersey. And I have to say, it was astonishing to hear the United States government tell the 9 justices of the Supreme Court that they weren't sure whether they would follow binding court precedent.
Contrary to what Justice Sotomayor said at the very beginning of the oral argument, this is a question that the Supreme Court has never addressed in a holding. Never. Not in Wong Kim Ark. That case dealt explicitly with the children born of lawfully and permanently domiciled parents. The 3 other cases she cited were the purest form of dicta, just a statement in passing, no part of the holding of those cases. And I think the historical record is much stronger in favor of President Trump's executive order than the 3 or 4 justices that commented about the merits were willing to accept.
The case is unusual in that the administration has used it to argue that federal judges lack the authority to issue nationwide or universal injunctions and have asked the justices to rule that way and enforce Trump's directive even without weighing its legal merit. After more than 2 hours of arguments, the conservative justices seemed willing to limit the ability of lower courts judges to issue universal injunctions, but also reticent to the issue of ruling without further delving into the underlying legal merits of Trump's executive order. It remained uncertain whether the court would order further briefing, a move that would further delay resolution of the case. The court has a 6-3 conservative majority, including 3 justices appointed by Trump during his first term as president. The United States is likely to issue some sanctions relief to Syria in coming weeks following President Donald Trump's announcements that all sanctions targeting Damascus would be lifted. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that Trump intends to issue waivers under the Caesar Syria Civilian Protection Act, through which Washington imposed stiff sanctions on former President Bashar al-Assad's government and secondary sanctions on outside companies or governments that worked with it. Trump said on Tuesday that he would order the lifting of all sanctions on Syria at the behest of Saudi Arabia's crown prince in a major U.S. policy shift that took some in his own administration off guard and left the Treasury and State Department scrambling to understand how to unwind the sanctions. Speaking to reporters in Antalya, Turkey, Rubio said the U.S. wants to do everything it can to help achieve a peaceful, stable Syria as the country emerges from 13 years of war.
Look, I think that obviously this is a new relationship. We've now known each other and known them for 24 hours. So it's one that we think that a peaceful, stable Syria would be one of the most dramatic improvements in the region in a very long time. And we want to do everything we can to help achieve that. We have governing authorities there now who have expressed, not openly and repeatedly, that this is a nationalistic movement designed to building their country in a pluralistic society in which all the different elements of Syrian society are able to live together. They've expressed an interest in being at peace with all of their neighbors, including Israel. They've expressed an interest in driving out foreign fighters and terrorists and others that would destabilize the country and are enemies of this transitional authority. And they've asked for our help. And so we're going to try to help them. Now, obviously, we want to see progress made, and we'll take every step that they take, and it'll be a long road because it's been a long time. Well, this is a road we were on, so we've been doing the work, the prep work for it. Look,
He added that Republican and Democratic members of the U.S. Congress had asked the Trump administration to use waiver authorities in the Caesar Act to lift sanctions. Overturning the bill would require congressional action, but it includes a provision allowing the president to suspend the sanctions for national security reasons, Trump could also issue a general license suspending some of all of the sanctions. Removing U.S. sanctions that cut Syria off from the global financial system would clear the way for greater engagement by humanitarian organizations working in Syria, easing foreign investment and trade as the country rebuilds. A Wisconsin judge pleaded not guilty to charges accusing her of helping a migrant evade an arrest outside her courtroom in a case with implications for U.S. President Donald Trump's sweeping immigration crackdown. Hannah Dogan, an elected judge on the Milwaukee County Circuit Court, is facing federal charges accusing her of obstruction and concealing an individual wanted for arrest. Her lawyer, Stephen Bikowsk, enters the plea on her behalf during a brief proceeding. U.S. Magistrate Judge Stephen Dries sets a July 22nd trial date. Several dozen protesters gathered outside this federal courthouse in Milwaukee before the hearing, denouncing the Trump administration and chanting "Hands off George Dugan." A few demonstrators flew an upside-down American flag, a symbol of national distress. Dugan, wearing a dark suit and purple blouse, exited the courthouse into a waiting car without speaking to reporters. Prosecutors allege that Dugan sought to derail the planned arrest by directing federal agents away from the hallway outside of her courtroom and escorting the migrant identified as Eduardo Flores Ruiz through a non-public exit. Dugan's legal team has said she is innocent. On Wednesday, her lawyers asked for the indictment to be tossed out, arguing that as a judge, she is immune from prosecution over financial actions and that the case intrudes on state authority. Dugan, first elected as a judge in 2016, spent much of her career representing low-income litigants in cases involving civil rights and domestic abuse issues. The prosecution relates to Flores Ruiz's planned appearance in Dugan's courtroom on assault charges on April 18th. Flores Ruiz was set to appear for a pre-trial hearing after he was accused of striking his roommate and two others during a dispute about loud music, according to a local police report. Flores Ruiz had previously been deported to Mexico, and federal immigration agents secured an administrative warrant to take him into custody, according to the criminal complaints against Dugan. The complaint, citing witnesses, alleges that Dugan became angry after learning that law enforcement agents planned to arrest Flores Ruiz outside her courtroom following the hearing. The first directed a group of agents to an office down the hallway, where one agent spoke by phone to the chief judge. She then privately addressed the Flores Ruiz case and waved him and his lawyer through a non-public jury door. According to the complaints, the documents note that Flores Ruiz was later spotted by law enforcement in a public hallway and that one agent followed him into an elevator. Flores Ruiz was arrested outside the courthouse after a foot chase. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said that Tehran has not received any written communication from the United States. Speaking at a book fair in Tehran, Araghchi said that Iran had shared its views during the negotiations, but had yet to receive any messages in writing from the USA side. Araghchi reiterated Iran's principled position on nuclear enrichment, which he said was the right of the Iranian people, and the administration will not abandon it.
We shared our views in writing a couple of times with the other party, and we have not yet received anything in writing from them. Although, they have said that they will, but we have not received anything yet. We do not have any restrictions on the economic presence of American companies in Iran. This ban was imposed by the Americans themselves. We are negotiating to have the sanctions lifted, and in return, we are willing to compensate for this through transparency and confidence-building measures if the opposing parties have concerns and ambiguities. The Iranian people's nuclear rights also include the right to enrichment, and no one will violate these rights, and we will not abandon them, and none of our enrichment facilities will be shut down. This is our principled position, which we have stated in the media and at the negotiating table. If they, the Americans, were capable of destroying our nuclear facilities militarily, there would...
Arachi's comments come on the same day that United States President Donald Trump announced advancements in securing a nuclear deal with Iran. "We are in serious negotiations with Iran for long-term peace," Trump said during a tour of the Gulf, according to a shared pool report, adding that Tehran had sort of agreed to the terms. However, an Iranian source familiar with the negotiations said there were still gaps to bridge in the talks with the U.S. Oil prices fell by about $2 on expectations of a U.S.-Iran nuclear deal that could result in sanctions easing. Ukraine's delegation to the upcoming Istanbul talks with Russia will be led by its Defense Minister Rustem Umerov and include the deputy heads of the intelligence services, the deputy chief of the military's general staff, and the deputy foreign minister, according to a presidential decree published online. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the failure of his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin to meet his face-to-face showed Moscow did not want peace, but he nevertheless authorized a delegation to go to Istanbul.
The situation is always dynamic. At the moment, commitment doesn't constitute delivery. 50% of commitments are not delivered on time. So which means that in the mathematics of war, we look to the enemy. Their economy is almost 2 trillion. They use up to 15% official and unofficial budget to the war, which constitutes over 150 billion US dollars. So annually, it's officially. So basically, whatever committed that doesn't come on time, will lose people, will lose territory. The situation is always dynamic. At the moment, commitment doesn't constitute delivery.
The world will be welcomed to the United States for the 2026 World Cup and this year's Club World Cup, FIFA President Gianni Infantino said days after a meeting with officials from U.S. President Donald Trump's administration. The U.S. will co-host next year's World Cup with Mexico and Canada and will host the Club World Cup from June 14th to July 13th, which will take place across 11 cities. Infantino's comments come against a backdrop of Trump's immigration stance that has raised questions about potential challenges for the numerous international fans expected to travel to the U.S. for both tournaments.
I think it's important to say one thing very clear. We had a meeting last week of the White House Task Force on FIFA World Cups with the government of the United States, the President, the Vice Presidents, several secretaries, ministers present, and the world is welcome in America. Of course, the players, of course, everyone involved, all of us, but definitely also all the fans. And let's be clear about that. This doesn't come from me, this comes from the American government. Everyone is welcome, obviously, those who want to come and celebrate football, those who want to come and spend a good time, those who want to come and celebrate the Club World Cup or the World Cup with their families, with their friends, and to spend an emotional moment. Those who want to come to create trouble, like in every country in the world, well, they are not welcome. They are not welcome anywhere in the world. Actually, let me be clear about that as well. They are not welcome in football. Yeah, so these are the protagonists. 32 teams from 20 different countries, but listen to that. Players from 90 different countries, almost. I think it's 86 or 87 different countries. So we have more countries represented in the Club World Cup, the first edition of the Club World Cup, than in 100 years.
Trump began an aggressive immigration enforcement campaign after taking office in January, declaring illegal immigration an invasion in an attempt to ramp up deportations. Andrew Giuliani, son of former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, will serve as executive director of the Presidential Task Force for the 2026 World Cup. Trump said last week he wanted people traveling to America to watch the competition to have a seamless experience during every part of their visit. A Rio de Janeiro court ordered the board of Brazil's Football Confederation, CBF, to be removed from their positions, including President Eldado Rodrigues, a decision showed. The case refers to an alleged forgery of the signature of former CBF President Antonio Carlos Nunes de Lima in an agreement with Rodrigues that resulted in the current board of directors taking office at the Confederation. In his decision, Judge Gabriel de Oliveira Zafiro also ordered CBF Vice President Fernando José Sane to hold elections for the entity's executive positions in their capacity as intervener as soon as possible. Rodrigues had previously been removed in December 2023 following a ruling by the Rio de Janeiro Court of Justice, despite having been elected to lead the CBF until 2026. However, a month later, Brazilian Justice Minister Gilmar Mendes ordered his reinstatement, citing the risk of the Brazil national team being barred by FIFA. FIFA ruled out sanctions as it does not accept government interference in football affairs and bans nations from taking part in its competitions if they break these rules, and Rodrigues was then reinstated. He was re-elected in March this year to lead the Brazilian FA until 2030. That's the news this hour. Thanks for watching. See you in a few minutes for the morning show. Do stay with us.
our universities now, I'm not just talking about Nigerian universities, all over the world, students come out, with no jobs, I served as a provost of a university in the US for 8 years, and part of my major responsibility was curriculum renewal, faculty looking at curriculum, and you see still operating curriculum that has been outdated, and so when students graduate, there are no jobs. And so we put a number of things in place, which I can share, and
please
which,
go ahead,
that we can, I mean, part of the thing we said we will do was that, even if you're an English major, history, psychology program, a skills acquisition program. So you might be a nursing student, and by the time you graduate, you get a certificate in content creating, get a certificate in digital analysis, get something that, if you are not able to find jobs in your chosen field, you might start doing something, it will help you to assist. So you are employable immediately upon graduation. That is one thing that we tried to do. And then we went in and looked at, I told them then that I read English major, I teach African literature majorly, but I know when immigrants, when students come into the US, they want to get employment. I mean, the competition, if you are a PhD in English from Harvard, from Medgar College, from City University of New York, the competition is so great, all right? However, if you get a degree in what is topical in the health sciences, then you are sure at the end of your educational career, you are employed. Very good paying job. And so we said, let us revamp our allied health program. We had no allied health program in the college then, but we had to start instituting programs in allied health, in collaboration. So these are things you need to do to recreate, to revamp, so that the curriculum will be at the service of.
So the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics just recently released the latest inflation rate, and they say that the numbers are looking pretty good, and the inflation rate has eased to just under 24%. That's around 23.71%. And to some extent, so many persons have been reacting to that. That really does not reflect what's happening in the markets. Because if you go to the market, at least you should see some reduction in prices of goods, maybe services. But if the statisticians of Nigeria is saying that this is what it is, then I wonder really, does that reflect in your budget? Does that reflect in the things that you buy in the market? That is for me the most important. Ask the common man who goes to the market every day to buy foodstuff. Are things getting better? The inflation really trickling down so that's little markets next door? And to what extent really will that stay on, And how much of that do you think we can hold off on as we build up to the 2027 general elections? Welcome, everybody. This is The Morning Show. I'm Charles Pius. We're going straight to the dailies on our newspaper this morning. Just stay with us. beginning on the Daily Trust newspapers this morning. On the Daily Trust this morning, Nigerians reject rep's proposal for compulsory voting. With the rider, lawmakers recommend 6 months jail, 100,000 naira fine for defaulters. APC, PDP, LP in coalition against Tinubu, says Atiku. Interesting. Well, what party is Tinubu again? Well, maybe we should start reviewing that. APC, PDP, LP in coalition against Tinubu, says Atiku. Gunmen invade palace, abduct traditional ruler in Kogi. Drop in food prices, others reduces inflation to 23.71%. 8 killed, houses burned in another attack in Plateau. Salah, prices of rams may go up as Niger bans livestock export. That could have been Niger, okay. Salah, prices of rams may go up as Niger bans livestock export. From bandits' dens to Hall of Fame, Yari girls excel in JAMB. From bandits' den to Hall of Fame, Yari girls excel in JAMB. Recharging Lake Chad critical to war against terror in Northeast, says CDS. All the details you can find on the Daily Trust. Now over to the This Day newspaper. On the This Day this morning, NUPRC to raise Nigeria's active oil rigs from 36 to 50 by end of 2025. Inflation declines to 23.71% amidst lower food and energy prices. Severe in Ekiti, Kebbi, Niger, others. Varsity Dawn hails price modernization or price moderation as boost to investor sentiments and macroeconomy. Tinubu heads to Rome on Pope Leo XIV's invitation with bragging rights of 62% Christian appointees. Interesting. The Daily Times newspaper, Tinubu backs Mali, calls for West African unity. MDAs should patronize locally manufactured vehicles. Senator Ndubueze speaks. Lagos debunks reports on civil servants absconding after foreign training. West Africa's security and political economy. Foundation calls for more women in elective appointive positions. Group demands sack of Education Minister and JAM Registrar over UTME crisis. All the details on the Daily Times newspaper. And now to the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Elections, reps push for 6 months imprisonment and 100,000 naira fine on non-voting citizens. ECOWAS court orders Nigeria to release man detained for 16 years without trial. Stunning. ECOWAS court orders Nigeria to release man detained for 16 years without trial. UTME reps to probe poor performance to provide allocation for construction of CBT centers in 774 local government areas in 2026 budget, advises board to release results of under 16 candidate. Odua's investment company posts 82 billion naira comprehensive revenue, declares 518 million naira dividends. Oyo government to deliver secular road 2027. Court convicts 10 Thai sailors. Ship slams $4.3 million fine over 32 kg cocaine trafficking. Bauchi governors insulted my late father, threatened to slap me. Foreign Affairs Minister. Again, PDP, NNPP lose 3 reps to APC. APC National Chairman Ganduje witnesses defections. Kidnappers seize ransom bearers in Ondo, demand 30 million naira for APC chair, 2 others release. Nigeria's inflation eases to 23.71%, says the NBS. And now to the Punch newspaper. On the Punch this morning, parents fear WAEC UTME overlap as receipts begin today. Economic strain. Inflation surges above 30% in Abuja and 10 states. Food inflation hits 51.8% in Benue amidst persistent insecurity. OPS laments rising prices. And still on the Punch, just above the mast, National Assembly divided as compulsory voting bill advances. 5 arrested over 2-week-old baby sale. Lasiek rides INEC over 3 LP factions in Lagos. Indeed, it's elections o'clock, and it's always going to be this drama playing out on the front pages until the elections are done, and then we can now have some respite and some peace. But in the meantime, there's no peace until that elections are actually done and dusted. Anyways, we're back to the table. We have with us live in the studio Lawrence Ibenyewa. He'll be the one to do the analysis on the front pages today. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning, Lawrence. How do you do?
I'm okay. Thank God.
Okay, so inflation eases off to 23.71%. A welcome development.
I saw 2 inflation figures. The one in Punch said surges to 30% in Abuja and 10 other states. The other one is saying 23%. I don't know which one I'm to believe.
Yeah.
But I know that in Nigeria, insurgency continues. Farmers are not yet going to the farms. Those who go are mauled and killed there. So I think we are beginning to. When should we begin to believe our data as reliable? I don't know who released the other one. I don't know who released the second one. But in the same country, different statistics. Surges beyond 30%, goes down to 23%. The same country, the same economy. But like you said earlier, I think the basic thing is, I'm not interested in these figures. I'm interested in food on my table. When I go to the market, what do I buy with the money I have in my pocket? That's the most important thing. Pushing these figures on us, gone down, gone up, gone down, it will be seen, we'll feel it when it goes down. It will reflect in the market prices. It's as simple as that. In how do I move from place to place with less pain, less rigors, and so on and so forth. Well, statistics should not be thrown away. But just like we're talking about our population, census, some people put 300 million, some people put 217 million, some people put 250 million, and so on and so forth. So I think that government should also just pay attention to making the economy better. And when it is made better, people will feel it. They will welcome it, and they will cheer the government in power. That's the way I want to talk about those inflation figures.
Well, one of the things that people look out for in terms of cost of production, they're looking at transportation. And recently, we've seen Dangote tinker with the prices of fuel, and then the NNPC. NNPC, reduced price, and just after Dangote reduced their own price. If this pump price of fuel keeps going down, do you think it will have a significant impact on the prices of goods?
So many people commute to work. Not all of us drive cars as we do. So the first way of knowing that has the transport fare from Ababa to Biago reduced? Has transport fare from Ababa to Old Park, has it reduced? What is even this decline saying astronomy reduces? What is percent of reduction?
It was 950. It came down to 820 something.
It's not yet significant to me, because these people, you know that the transporters, the KK riders, the commuters, and the bus drivers and so on, these trucks, they still complain that if it decreases, it will not make them to reduce price immediately, because they will think that their loss will reduce minimally. But that's not to the extent of slashing price of transport fares. So I think it should continue to go down, but it's not yet a figure that we celebrate. That's
so what figure do you think would be a fair price for the pump price of fuel in Nigeria today?
Charles, if a country is producing crude oil, as we do produce, and what we were importing before, we were importing because the people who were refining the products, we have local labor now, which is very cheap. We have the byproducts of those fuel that we were exporting that we lost by exporting. They are still here now, and all that, and the refineries are here. The dollar thing is so we're no longer battling with dollar
exchange.
So what is this? Is this the reduction you expected? Not for me, no. I don't think that fuel should be selling at 500 naira even at this time. Personally, that's my opinion. It may not be scientific, but that's my opinion. So this, when you say there's a 10 naira drop, 5 naira drop, and we begin to publish it and make it headlines, it baffles me.
Interesting. Anyways, other developments we're following. Nigerians rejecting reps' proposal for compulsory voting. The reps are proposing that, look, it's compulsory. It's a civic responsibility for you to vote. So if you do not vote, you will be fined or you go to jail for 6 months.
You know, I look at these things as comedy. Sincerely speaking, to me it is comedy. In a country where people voted, their vote was not reflected in the result that was announced eventually, and we were told there was glitch. And we have not sent those who caused the glitch to the prisons. We have not caused those who fortified the result to prisons. We have not forced those who made the result not to count, who made those who lost the election to be in power, and those who want to be out of power. And you are talking about someone who refuses. How many people will go to vote? The first thing is to fix the electoral process, make it transparent, and let people's vote count. That's what you do. And begin to talk about making it compulsory for what? No, those who voted, what did they vote? The one they voted, what did you do with it? I mean, to me, it's comedy. It's dead on arrival.
Well, don't you think it's a welcome development? I mean, it's your country, and you just have to perform that civic responsibility for you. But the importance
is to set up an independent electoral commission that will be truly independent, that will make the voter when people vote, let their vote count, let their vote make meaning. They should, all of them, that person who proposed that we should even be in jail now.
Yeah, I mean, the idea around this is not necessary.
Let if I vote, let it make meaning that in my Charles, I've said this several times. I was watching Igini before the elections, and it was telling us even what is contained in the electoral law, that you do not contest for 2 positions at the same time. If you contest for 2 positions, you've lost the 2 positions. Somebody was contesting for presidency of Nigeria in the electoral law and contesting for senatorial position. And now the person is in the Senate and Senate as a Senate president. Electoral law says you cannot, and the person is there. And people say, and some people voted for a contested election, and in the 2 hours of the night, you announce the result and told us as an electoral. People are celebrating Oloide for coming out to apologize for the glitch that happened in the JAMB result. A lot of people have, even though some are saying that, but people have commended him for coming out and trying to remake it. If there was a glitch, how did you try to correct that glitch that happened? These are the basic things, not telling people that they must go and vote. Vote for what? The one they voted, what have you done with it? It's comedy to me. I keep saying they are joking.
I mean, that period, INEC was not, I don't think they have a law already made and that stated that there was no way for placeholders. At that time, there was this thing that politicians, developed. They called placeholder. Somebody can decide, okay, let me go for this while I put somebody here for some time.
Who were the placeholders?
There were people who were placeholders at the time.
The person that contested with Lawan, for instance, was in court. They were in court until the last pronouncement by the Supreme Court that, the last one that is the winner. There is not a placeholder. They were there on their own. They challenged the declaration of the man as president, as a winner. If it was a player, would he challenge him?
Yeah, but these things happen. I mean, I could say as the placeholder.
In this case, did he challenge would you tell somebody who is your placeholder?
You won't actually, but
you won't. So
it's politics.
If I'm telling you, it means I'm not a placeholder. I contested on my right as a candidate.
Some persons have actually said that some political persons, riled him to continue, that nothing would happen, that the law is going to back him.
Did the law back him?
Well, to the extent of the court processes, and the court pronouncements, maybe he didn't. He wasn't backed.
He wasn't backed. That you've said it.
Anyways, let's talk about this issue regarding APC, PDP, LP coalition that Atiku is mouthing. It does look like Atiku has some inroads, or maybe have some information that even APC themselves don't even have.
This is a very funny country. Atiku is organizing parties into a coalition. What is happening in his own PDP? Just 2 days ago or yesterday, the Anambra, the Southeast
PDP caucus
were threatening, to pull out of the party because of the secretaryship position that was denied Udokoye. Who is their candidate, as a matter of fact. These things will not handle it. Your party is beginning to tear apart, and you are forming coalition. Which faction are you coaliting with, or are you going to coalition with? So these things are very. You first of all put your house in order. Is PDP in order? PDP is not in order. So if your party is not strong, you are not going to coalition with any much strength. He's the only person who, and I don't see people in this coalition. He's not the chairman of PDP. He is not secretary of PDP. He is not a board of trustees member. Maybe he is. But the power, if you go to this kind of arrangement, why don't you carry along the key stakeholders in the party? It will sound serious. He is going there as Atiku, not as PDP. Who else in PDP has mentioned that coalition? The way Atiku mouths it. Is he going to Atiku coalition with other parties, or PDP coalition with other parties? Are you getting what I'm trying to say?
Because even the Governors Forum have said that they are not ready for any kind of coalition.
These are people. You are not carrying the Governors Forum along. You are not carrying the BOT along. You are not carrying the neck of the party along. And you are moving around talking about coalition. Coalition with who and who are what?
Yeah, but again, the issue of opposition again has been, one that has been discussed widely. PDP is up until this moment at least, they are the biggest opposition party because of the fact that they have up to 11 governors now. So you would wonder whether really, beyond them playing their own role, do you think APC is playing a role in dismantling them?
It's not a crime. It's not just like PDP is doing in ENUGU state. PDP wants all the opposition parties to collapse into PDP. And they're succeeding. Haven't they been doing that? When they went to Edoga and said, we want you to come back to the fold. It's not a crime for a party to want to be stronger than it is when he got the power. In fact, in the past, during the MPP, NPN, there were, what do you call it, alliances. When they form governments, they bring in people in other parties to make this government stronger enough. So it's not a crime. But it is for those who are leading those parties to be wary and know what they are going into. People have given you a mandate, people are following you, and you just, all of a sudden, just like the campments or the campists I'm seeing every day. This is not the camp, the person, the camps, and so on and so forth. With the camp with people's mandate, the camp with, and even that's another aspect of electoral that has nobody has talked about, that is being flouted on a daily basis. You are voted into power from a political party, and you dump the mandate of people, move to another party, and you retain your power. It is unconstitutional, and it happens every day. These are things that people.
But there's a caveat to that. That if your party is under some
even when there is no, which part? I mean, there's a caveat, but it is not the caveat that it is not. They are not living because of crisis in parties. They are looking for protection and they are looking for upward movement. It's not because of the caveat you're talking about.
But do you think that that particular law should be amended, and what should be the amendment?
Please, whether which amended or what? The law as it is good.
There's a caveat because somebody can decide to sponsor problem in the party, and then because they already have a plan to move, and then they actually move. But do you think that that particular provision should be amended to once you have been voted into power from a party?
Yes.
You can't leave that party until the next election, or maybe something, I don't know. People who do these laws should have...
That caveat they are clinging on to is not even what... It's not their motivation.
But you are the one saying it. You are the one saying it. What if their own motivation is the fact that there's a problem in their party, and the law allows them to move if there's a problem in their party?
For instance, is there a problem in PDP now, in terms of crisis?
There is now.
There's leadership of PDP has a leadership. Is there any issue about leadership of PDP?
There's problem. We've seen caucus say that they are going to leave if they are not well respected or if they are not co-opted. We've seen...
that is not a crisis. They want to be... It's not a crisis.
But it depends on what you describe as crisis. The court is going to interpret what crisis is.
Yes.
So, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Even people, I even want those who are being decamped from. I want them to take it to the court and let it be tested in court. I'm sure that if these things are tested in court, some of them have no reason to have left. Some people left even before there was a crisis in the party. I can tell you. Some people left even before there was anything of crisis in the party. So it's not because of crisis that they are leaving.
Look at what happened in Rivers State. The House State House of Assembly members, all of them decamped. The Supreme Court at the end of the day said that there's no proof anywhere that they decamped.
Even they announced that,
of course.
I have said judiciary is part of our problems in this country, whether we believe it or not. It is part of our... That's why Ababu is in the Senate. That's why Lawan is in the Senate. They're part of our problems. The bigger part... I saw when Odenkalo was saying this... what was it? How did you describe it? When the judiciary become the electorate of Nigeria. Something, a piece you wrote, I read somewhere. What is he saying? The court has become the electoral body in Nigeria.
That decides who leads.
Yeah.
Which is not good, really. So let's talk about, finally, this the probing of performance by the UTME and JAMB. I mean, first of all, the crying of the boss of the JAMB.
Yeah.
Do you see that as a welcome development? Some of the persons have said that, well, this is different and it looks good. At least some people, if people can cry and be remorseful about, bad performance. I mean, it means that it's a welcome development of some sort. But then again, some of us have said, look, crying will not solve it. Just put in your resignation and move on.
Sincerely speaking, I'm part of those who welcome the tears and
okay.
For a man of that, even it was people can act anything. Even it was acting, he acted very well. It was a good. So, but sincerely speaking, I adopt my cap for what he did. At least someone else could have claimed that nothing happened, that people are no longer reading hard, that people are no longer studying. If I have accepted that it was a glitch, if I did the same thing during the of course, man. If I did the same thing.
If Yakubu cried, would you have accepted?
And they remade it, that is the difference. If he cried and left the result to go the way it is, it won't make any meaning. But the man is, people are sitting for JAMB again on Saturday. I mean, am I correct?
Yes.
Saturday.
Yes.
Saturday.
It starts from today.
Today,
it's like a continuous thing. So
it's another chance for those who are involved. He has accepted that it was a mistake made by one or two people. That's why we don't 100% trust technology. Once in a while, such things happen, and not just in Nigeria. It happens everywhere. So, but to have accepted that it happened, apologized, and shed very expensive tears, I mean, I think we should forgive him.
Do you think the way and manner it came, like Southeast and then Lagos, I mean, so many persons started putting some coloration of ethnicity and tribalism
I know
to
that's how it will go, but I don't want to believe that. I don't want to toe that line. I don't want to toe that line at all. I won't believe that. If it was done to harm the people, why is he giving them another chance? So he would have just defended it and he give a stout defense, and nobody will do anything about it. So
right.
I think that I also saw House of Reps saying they are going to,
prove
this play to the gallery all the time is what makes is just funny. What are you have not that thing to do? He has already told you what happened. What are you investigating again? This is what happened. There was a technical whatever, and we are trying to, and it won't happen again. That's all we need to do. So why are they wasting their time going to investigate?
A lot to investigate.
Very active house.
Laura Sibiayewa, many thanks for your insights. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we're back after this short break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. It's 8:34 on this fine 16th day in the month of May. The weekend is upon us, but not before we highlight some of the major issues that are bedeviling our nation. The vulnerable groups in Nigeria are a group that by now, I'm sure they really would not understand what the inflation rate is. All they care about is their plight. What is the government, what is the society doing about their life, and what they're expected to do and to be part of the society as a whole. We're going to be speaking to empowering the vulnerable groups in Nigeria as a topic, and Chika Oju is standing by. She's a veteran journalist and a humanitarian. Good to have you. Thank you for joining us. Good morning. Hello, Chika, can you hear me? You do well to please try and unmute your microphone on your device, if you can. Would you? Hello, Chika. Please, Chika, if you can hear me, unmute your microphone on the device. Hello, Chika. So I can only imagine what the vulnerable groups are actually going through. As someone who even works and earn a living, you know, I can only imagine, you know, someone who really doesn't work and who doesn't do as much as, you know, service that they would do when they have a skill to do that, you know. So sometimes empowering these vulnerable people are actually very important, because part of the reasons why we have a lot of insecurity around us is because of the fact that these people are, you know, introduced into societal, you know, menace in the way of stealing from people. I mean, the other day I was listening to somebody who told me that someone's car was actually snatched from them at gunpoint, you know. And so there are also some persons too who have gone into armed robbery and kidnapping, largely because, again, they are vulnerable to the extent of the fact that they are not able to fend for themselves. Yeah, you could argue that, well, sometimes when you are a thief, you're not necessarily a vulnerable person or an vulnerable person. It's just that you have refused to do some jobs that are around you. But again, we also have to look at those issues with a view to finding out solutions as to how we could help these vulnerable people, especially those who are willing to work, who are willing to learn, and who are also willing to, you know, grow themselves in order for them to now become a better, you know, people contributing their own quota to the development of the society. I mean, if we leave these guys all by themselves, you know, you could be in deeper trouble. The vulnerable persons could be, you know, women, you know, youth, you know, and some persons too who have also lost their breadwinners. You know, sometimes it becomes really terrible when we have the unemployment rate shooting up every single time. And then we have the numbers building up, even with the fact that it's impossible for government to even absorb people in different quarters, in different places for jobs to be gotten. So when you see and hear some of these, you know, things that vulnerable people pass through, it becomes really difficult for anyone to be able to, you know, not tell the reasons why we have our society in decadence. All right, I don't know if we have Ambassador Chika Oju with us already, veteran journalist and a humanitarian, if she's back on the line with us. Chika, can you hear me? Okay, Chika, you have to unmute your mic. Can you unmute your mic if you can, please? All right, we're headed for a short break. When we get back, we're hopefully going to reconnect with her afterwards. So stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
The hospital facilities and other paraphernalia of the UNTH ENUGU practically moved from the hospital to the Umuchibo and Umuenewene health centers in ENUGU East local government area. And that way, the Department of Nursing Sciences wanted to make their impact felt in the community in line with their professional calling. In commemoration of the 6 weeks community health outreach in the academic calendar of the nursing department, the Umuchibo and Umuenewene health centers were part of the celebrations. The occasion brought to an end the successful public health service rendered to these communities by the University of Nigeria nursing students. The ceremony was attended by a large number of health practitioners, nursing mothers, nursing students, administrative staff, lecturers, community members, and their leaders, parents, and spouses. The event commenced with free public health services, followed by an intensive health session where health experts shared diverse knowledge on the importance of breastfeeding in promoting infant health and development.
This is like our grand finale where we take care of people to know like their health status, and then we give free drugs to people in the community. I've attended to up to 30 people so far.
It's a great opportunity. It's wonderful because most of the time the issues we have is that people will have sickness for the cost of getting diagnosed and so no, the right treatment has always been. So this is actually helpful and it's very good.
Dr. Ijomi Ilo, in her welcome address, expressed appreciation to the initiators of the Community Health Week. She said it was a wonderful idea that it was included in the department's calendar, stating that it's a way of bridging the gap between health experts and the community.
Health Day of the Community Health Unit of the Department of Nursing Sciences, UNEC, was initiated by Professor Mrs. Ijoma Ehiemere in an effort to bridge the gap between theory and practice for our students. It started as a feasibility study organized by Professor Ijoma Ehiemere and Professor Ezendoka of blessed memory. The first annual Health Day was held in 1998 at Ugogo here in Nike.
Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences and Technology, Professor Charles Ezema, noted that the community health program provides a valuable opportunity for students to contribute to the communities.
Makes great impact on both economic recovery, reduction in health problems, morbidity and mortality rate, because so many people could not afford the cost of medical care, so that when the health care is taken to the community, so they benefit. So they are here to assess, diagnose, and treat the children and elderly, people that have cases.
Lecturers from the department emphasized the numerous benefits associated with breastfeeding, urging nursing mothers to practice exclusive breastfeeding.
It's a win for the child, it's a win for the community, it's a win for the family. A win for the child. A healthy child is a child who is exclusively breastfed and continuously complementary feeding. And this child is less prone to illnesses. This child is healthy, mighty, strong, immunity-wise, and every other.
According to the nursing students, breastfeeding is essential for the health and well-being of babies, mothers, and the community at large, as highlighted by their shared insights during the event.
Breastfeeding is of utmost importance to an infant. First of all, I'll talk about colostrum, the first milk, the yellowish colored milk that a mother produces first. It gives the baby like a balanced diet. The baby doesn't need any other thing. Also, it gives antibodies, like it gives the first line of defense an infant needs. So a baby that is constantly taking breast milk, that's exclusive breastfeeding, will not suffer any illness that is like rampant among children.
What inspired the community health is actually to reach out to the community, teach them things they need to know about health, help the community build our community. Our team for this event particularly is breastfeed a child, feed the community. So for this particular program, we brought it to like teach the community, especially young mothers, pregnant women and the rest, how to like feed a child, right? To breastfeed a child, take care of the child till the baby is 6.
By emphasizing the importance of breastfeeding, the nursing students aim to inspire positive change and encourage a supportive environment for nursing mothers. In ENUGU East Local Government Headquarters, Chinemerem Ikebunam reporting for Signature TV News.
Welcome back. It's 8:50 a.m. in the morning, 16th of May 2025. The weekend is upon us. Hope you're good. Today we're going to be highlighting the topic empowering the vulnerable in Nigeria. Chika Uju is a veteran journalist and, of course, a humanitarian. She joined us via Zoom this morning. Good to have you. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Sorry for the whole thing.
All right. So tell us who these vulnerable people are and why it's important to cater to them.
Actually, vulnerable people are adults, that are very comfortable in their own skin or color. And they do not wear any mask. But unfortunately, they are being insulted by the weak who cannot even identify themselves.
Okay, so why you think it's important to cater to them?
Why I think it's important to cater for them is because they are human beings like you and I. They should be given sense of belonging. They should be accommodated because they are equally God's creature.
Okay, so from your standpoint, do you think that the government is doing enough in terms of catering to them, at least to the extent of providing the basics that they would need to at least fend for themselves?
Actually, to the best of my knowledge, the government is not doing enough to assist the vulnerable. They have not done anything much. They have been neglected, and it's not giving us joy. Myself in particular, as a woman and as a human being. So in other states, in other countries, they are being taken care of. But where you and I come from is a different ball game altogether. And it's not good.
Okay, so if you were, for instance, going to adopt what other countries do in Nigeria, to what extent do you think that can work? I mean, we've had several, programs before in Nigeria, poverty alleviation programs, right from even the military era up until this moment. But we still have people who are still vulnerable, who don't have access to the basics of life. What do you think that we can adopt with what is happening across the world?
Actually, the government of the day tried to make them have that sense of belonging, but those representing them have not been able to do much. You will see them acquiring what belongs to those they are better off than. You will see them sharing it among themselves, their families. And it's wrong. So the only thing we can do is to create a committee and make sure that the vulnerable amongst them are co-opted in that committee for them to have a voice, for them to know what is being given to them, how it's being shared, how it's being allocated. I believe by doing so, it will enhance most of their problems.
Many people would say creating another committee. I mean, isn't that what has caused the problem so far? I mean, if we have had several poverty alleviation up until now, in fact, we still have the number of unemployed people. We still have people who... Okay, go ahead,
sorry,
please.
the right people have not been co-opted into the committee. We still have wolves under the sheepcloths. The right people, when you put the right people around, step in a round hole, you will see things working out. We still have people who do not have human feelings in managing the affairs of the vulnerable, even managing the affairs of, the society. They should dig deep and, get to the root of all this. They know it. When you're talking about the vulnerable, we are talking about those who cannot be able, who do not have the powers of their own. The adult, the low income, the disabled. But you see somebody, a flat, human being, come in bearing that, all in the name, to have what belongs to the lower class. Who does that? It's only people that without conscience that, go into that such practice, and it's not helping the society. Neither is it helping the vulnerable people, our adults in our midst.
What role do you think education plays in alleviating poverty and even helping with the vulnerable population?
Education is the key. Those of them who wants to be enlightened, who should be given that opportunity to do so, should be empowered to do so. And by the time they're able to acquire it, they will be on their feet to take any challenges that comes across them. So if governments can invest more in their education, it will enhance their life. In my own thinking.
So many persons think that the most vulnerable people in the society are mostly women and children. Do you agree to this point? Do you think there are actually there are other people who are considered vulnerable people?
There are others, men inclusive, not only women and children. But you can only say that women and children are the weaker, side of it. And, they receive all manner of abuse.
Right, so...
when not checked.
So in terms of helping out with these, knowing that the numbers are actually more on women and children, how do you think that collaborative effort between the private sector and the public sector would be able to assist people, especially those in the rural areas, in order to be able to be better for whatever it is that they're out to do?
They should be allocated to a good environment where they can be looked after, where can they be checked on regularly. The communities, the private sector, the government, it's our duty to do that for them because they don't have that strength, just like we do. When somebody is about to rape you or having carnal knowledge with you or something like that, you can always be able to run away. But then they cannot. When somebody wants to hit you with a machete, you can be able to run away, but they cannot. So it is our duty to checkmate them, to be by their side, check them hourly. Even if it means every second, they need that attention from us.
For you, what are the most important strategies in empowering women, especially in the rural areas?
Come again, please.
What for you is the most strategy or the best strategy in empowering women? Say, for instance, if government decides that they want to empower women in rural areas, what do you think that they should be looking at? How do you think they can go about it?
Skill acquisition. Skill acquisition.
What type of skill?
Depending on what they can be able to do. If it means, tailoring, which they call fashion and designing now, or having, a hairdressing salon, or weaving, depending on what they want, even trading, they can be empowered in a small scale aspect of it. It's not only the government, to do it. Individuals can, private sectors can, because it's a collective exercise, and we don't need to allow the government to do it alone. But government should have upper hand. And the moment such is being done, you will see them having more lives You know, we are putting smiles into their lives. And those that, you know, have bad intentions of, you know, terminating their lives, you see them coming back to fold, interacting with us.
Right. Interesting, really. I mean, I'm just thinking to myself, what do you think might be the barriers or obstacles that the vulnerable people might be facing in assessing some of these skill acquisition programs, this know-how? Do you think that they may probably have barriers or obstacle in it?
Yeah, there will be an obstacle if they are not well checkmated. There will be an obstacle. So whatever they are being given to, there must be people to monitor them, to monitor their exercises, to monitor their living, to monitor whatever they do. Like I said earlier on, they are the weaker, you know, creature due to the kind of a situation they find themselves. So
right.
they need to be monitored.
We know of several NGOs that are involved in helping vulnerable people. I mean, we could say that the government really hasn't adequately done well, but do you think that the actions of some of these NGOs are also helping, and to what extent? Because some of these NGOs also receive a lot of, support from international donor agencies, and sometimes these agencies don't really cascade these resources down to the vulnerable people. So I'm wondering, do you think that the role of the NGO right now, you know, it's helping matter at all?
They are not. Some of them are just using the vulnerable to enrich themselves. We all know that. I know that, you do. And they don't have conscience. That's why they are doing that. And they forget that it's a judgment day at the end of the day. So most of the NGOs we have, some of them, they don't even care. All they want is that money. Maybe they will just give out peanuts to those people. Then the rest, you see them building mansions, riding beautiful cars, wearing gold and silver, living the downtrodden. It's not good. They are not doing well.
So how do you think that these NGOs can be checkmated?
That is the thing. And when I talk about, you know, creating a committee or having this, you see that the one that have already been created, what did they do? If I were the donors, I would like to send my team, delegate some of my team to go and see what this person is actually doing with whatever we donated to enhance the life of the downtrodden, of the vulnerable. But the moment the money is being given, they won't care, they won't bother to monitor it. They need to be monitored. I have one. I need to be monitored. You can't report to pay Peter. No one with good conscience does that. We lack fear of God. Honestly, that is our problem. We lack fear of God. But we bear this and that night, day. But we keep on cheating on those we are better off than. It doesn't give me joy. So a lot should be done by the donors. They should have monitoring on this, monitoring on that. And anyone who fails to do it right, that his or her NGO or whatever should be closed, should be shut down. If they can do it that way, then the society will be sanitized.
All right. So, you know, sometimes when poverty alleviation programs are created, there's usually a target, you know, of the numbers of people who should be able to have gained from it at the end of it. do you think that these poverty alleviation programs that government has embarked upon have solved the problem of poverty? If you were to advise on how some of these poverty alleviation programs that reach out to the vulnerable, how do you think it should be done so that it could actually get to the people that it's meant for? And then the third leg of this question is the fact that some people who are vulnerable are also, they don't think, some don't have interest in, say for instance, a government is doing a skill acquisition program. You'll see a few of them, getting involved or wanting to even take themselves away from the situation that they have found themselves. Do you also think that that is a problem?
Let me answer your first question before I go to that. Let me shock you a bit. About 3 years ago or 4, one of the politicians who was sick was visited by myself and some of my colleagues. And while we were there, alerts came in. He smiled. He called one of us and said, "Oh, look, oh, I did my bed now. This alert is still there, combo." We then asked him, "What alert?" He said it was initiated during good luck. How can a man like that be receiving such money? His name was included, that of his family were included. They were receiving 30,000 naira, made for the poor, made for the downtrodden, because they were in power. They decided to, include their names to the list submitted during Jonathan's, administration. I was shocked to my marrow. That was the day, even though I'm a politician, that was the day I detested some of the politicians in my state. Coming to the second question you asked, yes, some of them may not like to join because they are being used. They are being used. You can't tell me that you're helping me and so amount was given to you to give to me to solve my problem. Instead of you doing it in the right way, you decide to give me peanut. Then I will come and kill you under the sun. Have you seen them doing the empowerment? You will see those vulnerable people under the sun, under the rain. At the end of the day, nothing. Then the press will cover them. I spent so and so. I spent so and so. Oh my God, who is fooling who? Human beings lack conscience. Somehow we are wicked to our fellow human beings. Mostly the downtrodden, the low-income earners, the disabled. My dear brother, if we keep on talking about this, I may start shedding tears because I have seen it and I have seen it. It is not good. So we don't need to blame them because on several occasions, they were there, but at the end of the day, they were being shortchanged. So you don't expect them to continue. The worst thing that will happen to anybody in this world is to hate yourself, is to, reject yourself when others have rejected you. No, you dare not do that. You move on.
Interesting. So does it mean that this community-based program by the government really doesn't work? Do you know of any, empowerment program that has actually worked? And do you think it can be scaled nationally? Because I mean, if you look left, right, and center, if the governors are not doing something, the local government are doing something, and then the federal government are also doing something, but then the vulnerable people keeps, increasing,
complaining. Increasing.
Yeah, so, but
yeah, because they are not the architect of their problems, are they? So why wouldn't they increase? We give birth every day, just as people die every day. So we are not going to portion blame on them that they are always on the increase side. What we should talk about is, what is being given to them by the government. Is it actually getting to them? What is it being given to them by the donors? Is it actually getting to them? Has it enhanced their problem? Or, when 1,000 is being given to them, then you decide to give them 1 kobo. What will one couple do for them in a situation, we are into now? Can one couple do anything for you, solve any problem for you? Let's call a spade by its name. Those government placed there to look after these people, they are the problem and not the government. And if I were the government, the moment that list is being submitted to me, I will, screen it. Even if it takes me the whole month to do the investigation, to know if this actually that person deserves it, I will do it. You don't need to rush something because so many people normally queue in order to enrich themselves. You see them shining. We are the best weaver, best jewelry, best car, live in a very comfortable place. Yet that person they are supposed to represent, just dying out there, cannot even afford, a meal in a day. Government should do something. Donors should as well do something. If they are threatening, monitoring this, monitoring that, let there be people with conscience. I'm not saying, even in the house of the Lord, there are people that have no conscience, but there are people that fears God. If they can be able to get at those people to stand for those we are better off than, I believe there will be a lot of changes and the increase will reduce, I believe. They need to be occupied, they need to be equipped. But those people that we are giving those things to get to the vulnerable have failed to deliver. They have failed to deliver.
Again, it comes down to the vulnerable, right? I mean, like it or live it, the vulnerable has to also pick the pieces. If we have some of these programs that have refused to cascade towards them, they also have a responsibility to even try to engage the society or even to do whatever they can to, help themselves. Because even when the program comes, you would have to get these vulnerable people to tend to accept them. So I'm just thinking, is there a way you think that these are words now going to those who are vulnerable? Is there a way you think that sometimes also it's about mindset, setting the right mindset and doing things that can help your situation from where you are? Do you think that, they also have a responsibility, to themselves or to a point? Because, I mean, if you look at all of the programs, I'm thinking through this from even way from 1995. The poverty alleviation programs that government upon government have done, by this time, for crying out loud, we wouldn't be here. But the numbers keeps increasing in terms of the vulnerability. But now, switching it a little bit, do you think that, there's a role that the vulnerable should also play in also helping themselves?
Yeah, a lot of roles. One, they should have a voice. As a journalist, maybe one of these days, invite one of them to interview them, or few. At least two, a male and female. Then you hear from them. I'm not talking about those, that, their brothers or sisters have just, placed in a mansion. That's not the vulnerable I'm talking about. I'm talking about the vulnerable, the downtrodden. Interview them and you hear from them. Hear from the horse's mouth. They should have a voice. And once in a while, we journalists, we should hear from them. Because most of the time, they are being cheated. They are being hurt down. Don't talk. If you talk, this will happen, that will happen. No. So by the time they have a voice, they will be able to explain things by themselves, the way they are being treated by the government, by the community or private sectors. Hearing from them, I believe, will help things to get better. So we need to hear from them. We need to interview them by giving them that sense of, belonging. Let us hear from them. Let the society hear from them. We can't be defending them. Let them defend themselves. They need a voice to say it the way it is. Because most of the time you see them shedding tears. Most of the time they don't even have a place to, lay their head. Most of the time they can't even feed twice in a day. They can't even clothe themselves. And most of the time you see somebody that is able, using them to beg money. Then at the end of the day, they will go and count for that person. Peanut will be given to him or her that did that exercise. So I think I suggest you invite them to your program, interview them, let's hear from them, and know where to start healing, the healing.
All right. Thank you so much, Chika Uju, for your time on the program this morning, speaking to the plight of the downtrodden and empowering the vulnerable groups out of Nigeria. I was also going to ask you, but just on the last line, if you know of any specific program that has succeeded with pulling people out of a vulnerability into being better for it. If you have anyone that will know anyone, whether it's local government, state, or even at the federal. Do you know of anyone?
I don't know, because they're all mixtures. They're all mixtures. Calling journalists to come and cover them. It's, wow. Don't put words into my mouth.
Wow. Chika Uju, many thanks. I appreciate you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right.
Have a nice
We're back
day.
shortly after this break. Just stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Welcome back. It's 9:17 a.m. in the morning of 16th of May 2025. The weekend is upon us and we're loving it because the fact that the rains are coming and coming really down strongly gives us this joy and happiness, but with a wink a little bit, because again, the meteorologists have stated that we should expect some, flooding this period. So by and large, beyond being excited about the weather being cool and the rains coming in, we should also look at for our surroundings, our environment. Very important. All right. So women, very important. There's a bill right now at the National Assembly, and it's about special seats for women because of how special they are. But how far has that bill gone, and how important is it? We have with us Blessing Michael, Chairperson, League of Women Voters of Nigeria in Kebbi State Chapter, joining us via Zoom this morning. Good to have you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much, madam, for joining us.
Thank you.
So tell us, how important really is this bill? What does this bill seek to achieve?
I would say this bill seeks to achieve a lot, especially concerning the women. For a very long time, women have been sidelined, or I would say women have been underrepresented in the parliament. Even in governance, women have been underrepresented. So I would say this bill will achieve a lot. One, especially in the place of the economic. In the place of the economic, as in the economic aspect of it, most women don't want to come out to contest any position because of lack of funds. But with this bill, this bill will help in that regard, because it is going to be all the parties that are coming to contest. You must bring out a woman from your party to contest. So that exactly has helped in the place of the fund and the economic part of it.
But why do you think that women require a special seat in order for them to be able to do these things that you mentioned?
You know, I would say, you know, women, we are just like in both the Christian and Islamic religion. Women are being described as the weaker vessel. You know, women, we don't have that courage that you come out the way men come and hustle to get that seed, no matter what it will cost. Men will stay down at sometimes. Men will be at the meeting from 9 a.m. to 6 a.m. in the next morning. No woman can withstand that. We know normally the saying that what a man can do, a woman can do better. I don't believe in that, because when it comes to governance, women are underrepresented. So that bill will really help women a lot. It will help women. That is what we are just saying.
Don't you think it is an admittance of weakness for the women if they come out asking for these things? I mean, if you look at the numbers, more women actually come out to vote than men, and in terms of the numbers. But I'm wondering, don't you think that harnessing your numbers would do you well rather than asking for these things? Because every time we hear 35% affirmative, it doesn't really never happen under any government. We hear of special, now we're hearing special seats. We'll hear of, now, in fact, the Senate has just 4 women. The House of Reps, I think it's around 17 or so. So I tend to be a little bit angry of the fact that women are high in number in terms of number of registered voters, and they're not using their numbers to get these things done. Why are they asking? Why don't you just get it? You know, you have the numbers, then just do it.
Yes, I believe yes, we have the number. We have the number, just like you said. But you know, if you look at it the way it is, you see that the men mostly, I would say, why women don't get it. Why we don't get it. We don't get that number that we deserve. You know, men, I wouldn't use the word manipulative, and I wouldn't use the word inducement, but men can go extra mile to get what they want. Men can go extra mile to get what they want. And we women, just like, you know, we are not weak, and that we are not, it's not that we are weak, but we are very soft-minded. So that's in the culture, because it has been our culture here, both in the religious and the traditional way, that the women can't lead. So that thing has gotten into the women's head. Even those that will vote for their fellow women think that, no, we shouldn't vote for our own women. So this bill will help a lot. That is why we are seeking for this bill to be into law. Thank you.
All right, so where is this bill now? What level is it? Do you think it will see the light of day?
We hope so. It will see the light of the day. The bill is it has passed the second reading. We are just waiting for the day that is going to be for public hearing, and we pray that with our campaign, that is what we are campaigning here from all over Nigeria. We are campaigning word to word, house to house. In fact, this campaign, we are campaigning that women should come out and support this bill. Even traditional leaders, religious leaders, stakeholders who matters a lot should come out and support this bill and say, yes, it is true. These women, they need, we are not asking for much. We are just asking for 74 seats across the 36 states that we have in Nigeria. So you can see, it's not as if we are asking for more. We are not competing with men. We just want that gap should be filled, because there is the gap has been created already. We want more women there. You can imagine we have 300 and something House of Representative members. Well, we just have just 7. You said it yourself, 17, which is like, let me just say, like 5, maybe 4 to 5%. You can look at the Senate. So we are not asking for more, just for 74 seats. that we are looking for across the 36 states, including Abuja.
So, beyond that particular line of provision, are there other provisions within the bill that is not made known to the public? You're asking for 74, both the National Assembly, both the reps and the Senate, 74 in total. What are other things in that bill that is not known yet to the public that you feel that the public should know about?
And what people don't know about that bill is categorically talking about the 74, the 74 seat we are talking about is that if, from example, if APC, PDP, SDP, any party, that special seat will be there. You will fill in a woman there. A woman is going to contest with her fellow woman, not a man. And she's going to contest with her fellow woman. And with that, any party that does not fill in a woman, definitely that party, is going to have problem with INEC, not us. Is going to have problem with INEC. So that bill, I would say, the bill, let's just wait for the public hearing. You get to know more about the bill.
Well, so how do you intend to achieve it? Because are you going to speak to all political parties? Because if APC says, okay, we want to give you 35%, it might not be the same for PDP, it might not be the same for SDP or even Labour Party. So how are you looking to harmonize these thoughts in order to, entrench it further?
Don't get you.
No, I'm saying that how do you intend to, entrench it across political parties? If political party A says we could give 35%, another political party may say they don't, they're not giving that amount of percentage. And we have also seen women not coming out, to participate in the political process, more like bringing themselves out, to be voted for across board. That's the reason why we have those numbers. I mean, if we have more women who have come out in different places, to mobilize them, to come out to say, look, there is a certain number, a special status for women in the National Assembly, then we can start thinking about this. Women across board are seen not to be interested in politics because they feel politics is a dirty game. Do you think that the women group will be able to harmonize and even engage women to be out so that they can be interested in politics first before you have that number you're asking for, which is 74 across board?
Let me say this. This bill is not just a bill that you just, this bill is not just a bill that you just, after it has been passed into law and you think it will just be there. No. This bill is going to help a lot. How is it going to help? When you hear, especially the women, when you heard that this bill has been passed, so many women will be encouraged to come out. Because I will tell you, I have sat down with a woman who contested for a Senate seat from the Southeast. She told me how she went from talking to Godfather to party members. They were just chopping her money. In fact, to the extent that she got discouraged, she felt that she couldn't compete with this man. So this bill is going to help. It's going to give women more courage. There's nothing like women are not going to come out. They are going to come out, and you'll be surprised with the way women will come out and start competing. It is just because they don't have that courage. When you don't have that courage, and men are going to support you. We make things happen for men. So this time around, we are asking men to make things happen for us, we the women. That is what, and I'm telling you, this thing is going well, because with this campaign, as we don't even have problem in the southern part of the country. Maybe where we should have problems should be in the northern part of the country. And while now in the northern country, with the way things are going, with the trend now, women are getting wiser and wiser and getting to know what is politics. And when we say we want women in the parliament and government, we are talking about women who have integrity, who know what they are doing, not just anyhow women know. That is not what we are campaigning for. And I'm telling you, if only this bill can be passed into law, I'm telling you, women will surprise men. In fact, we have seen where women do better than men with their offices. So we pray that more women will come and we know things will get better. Inshallah.
So what's your strategy for mobilizing them? If eventually this bill is passed, what's your strategy for mobilizing them? Because down south, you barely see women come out, to even participate in the process, to bring themselves out to be voted for. I mean, it's rare. The last gubernatorial elections, it was just one woman out of the 17 political parties that we had. And I could tell you the numbers, across board, for different elections, even the local government elections, you barely see women, bring themselves out, in fact, to come out to participate. So you would wonder really whether if this bill scales through, would it in any way inspire them to come out? Is it the idea, or wouldn't it be better that this advocacy starts now, to engage women, to also try to inculcate men into the fact that sometimes these things are important for our development?
Yes, just like the strategy we are using even the men, because we still have a he for she who always believe for she. So we are using, our strategy will be, we are using, we use our traditional leaders, our religious leaders. They will tell us the importance of women being in governance. So just like we have men who are willing, who is sponsoring this bill now in the House of Representatives is the Deputy Speaker. You can just imagine. It's a he for she. He knows the concerns. He knows what women are passing through. He understands the feelings of women. He understands their pain. He's a man, and he's the one seeking for this bill. So you can just imagine, we have so many men there who are willing to support women, who are willing to support women that matters, women that have that integrity, women that can do things in a way that people will imagine. Women, just like women, we are multipliers. We always multiply. So I bet you that by the grace of God, women are going to come out in their numbers to seek for votes from their fellow women, even from the men's force.
And another barrier that a lot of people will look at is the culture and tradition. The African culture really somewhat doesn't support that. I mean, when you talk about women, they say, oh, women are made for the kitchen. They're meant to take care of the home, and you would rarely also think that men would accept that their wives go into politics, given that what they hear about politics, being a dirty game. How much of these, engagement would involve men? Because I can imagine a man who's got a wife who's going for meetings in the middle of the night.
I will just give example with few women that we have in our country, Nigeria, who have excelled in their various places of work. People like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, you have seen the way she has, with the support of her husband, you have seen the way she has excelled. And we have our late NAFDAC boss, you see the way she excelled. Her husband was very supportive. He was supporting her all through. And we have this other woman, our former Minister of Education. So we have women that we use and give example of how they excel in their various workplace without any negative scenario around them. So we hope, and we know that even with the traditional, with the culture that we have now, and with the culture, if you look at it, the culture is fading away gradually. Not that it's fading away in a negative side, but in a positive side. That people have already wake up from their slumber. They understand that women can do this, they can do it. And you can just imagine a woman will wake up early, a married woman will wake up early in the morning from 5 a.m. She's working, she's doing this at the same time. She's taking care of her children, taking care of the husband, taking care of the home. And maybe she still has an office to go to. She will still go to that office, do perfectly well in that office, comes back home and continue. So why not? So just all we are seeking and praying for is that for the men, our men should give us that little opportunity. Let them give us that chance. We are not, just like we said, we are not competing with them. We just want our voice to be heard. Let people know that these women need to be heard in the society.
Blessed Michael, many thanks. We truly appreciate your insight and good luck with this particular bill.
Thank you.
You're welcome as always. We're speaking to Blessed Michael, the chairperson, League of Women Voters of Nigeria, Kebbi State Chapter, giving us an insight into the special seats in the National Assembly for Women Bill. We're back after the short break. Just stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Welcome back. This is the morning show here on Signature TV. I'm Charles Pius. Hope you're good. So today we're going to be looking at Igbo youth in governance. We have two guests in the studio, Prince Onyeka Nama. He is the National President of Southern Youths Initiative for Good Leadership. And we also have with us Mbeje Cletus Orim. He's a Publicity Secretary of the same organization, South Youths, that's South Youths Initiative for Good Leadership. All right. Good to have you both in the studio. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so let's begin with Prince Onyeka. A lot of people have spoken largely about the Igbo youths and their involvement in politics. Some people have even said that the youth of the Igbo extraction play politics with sentiments and emotions. They don't play politics the way that the northern people do. That's the reason why they have actually not calculated properly, and that's why they have been schemed out in the scheme of things, since 1999 up until this moment. So how do you engage with that kind of thought process?
Good morning once again. Well, just like one of our aims, try to synthesize the importance of voting during an election, the importance of participating fully, actively during the election. Because we noticed that during the election, the youths just kind of, I don't care, it doesn't matter, after all, at the end of the day, they will call a name that they like. The INEC will mention, announce the people they like. But it's not so. Because why I say it's not so, when total of votes is about 1,000, and you as a person do not vote, you are given a vacuum, a chance for that election to be rigged. Should you understand? So it's very important, very, very necessary.
Well, is it a lie that most of the time the people's will don't prevail?
Well, of course, at times, but the people, the way I'm seeing it, the youth cause at 50% of the youth give a 50% chance for the election to be rigged. If the youth participate fully in that election, I don't see the chance of rigging that election. Although you know that there is no place in the world that you have a 100% election, 100% election.
But to some extent, people's will are not subverted in those areas. Yeah, you could say fine margins, but it's not to the extent of subverting the will of the people. We see it play out every day, almost every election circle, and people are not brought to book. Somebody came and told you there was a glitch, and that was it. Go to court. So you don't. It's painful when you come out and want to express yourself through the votes, and at the end of the day, yes, you know that you are just one person, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, right? So you know that the numbers don't tally with what the majority of people actually wanted. It happens every single election circle, and they'll tell you is just go to court. Cletus.
So, yeah, thank you for having me, and I'm glad to be here today. Yes, fundamentally speaking, the Nigerian elections have not been free and fair ever since the inception of Nigeria. The only one we had wanted to have here, which could have given us a very credible election, would have been that of 1993 election, where MK Abiola. Back to the question you asked from my colleague Prince, that why Igbo playing Igbo is playing election with emotion. Sorry, going into election with a high level of sentiment and emotions. Yes, it is done so because from the beginning, if you look at the historical background of Nigeria, you discover that the Igbos and the Yoruba fought for the sovereignty of Nigeria, going by the history. And when it was subverted during the time of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, and that of the killing of Aguiero Onse and the killing of some of these top military Igbos officials, that was actually what exacerbated this issue of Igbos playing politics with sentiment. And then the installation of Colonel Yakubu Gowon into power as the military head of state, who was a junior military officer to Ojukwu, also spanned up this sentiment, and ever since then, there is no Igbo extraction or Igbo person or Southeasterner who has been a president of Nigeria, and especially when we return to democracy in 1999. So, because of all this kind of things going on in Nigeria's political system, the Igbos are now interested in being on their own. But the reason why the youths are not even interested in politics, because even when they vote, they will tell you the vote wouldn't count, and that no matter whatever they do, and that is what has actually led to political apathy. Strong political apathy that majority of the youth don't go into elections. And that is the reason why we formed this Southern Youth Initiative for good leadership, so that we can sensitize and reorient our youth to go into politics, so that by the end of the day, we should have a voice to speak, because the youth are the owner of every country. If the youth fail to vote, who is going to be? We are the one to change the mantra, because power is not given, power is being taken. And how do we take the power? It is when you go and cast your vote that you can say, I voted for this person, this is the person who voted for. Therefore, we will not allow this election to be rigged, and be stand by it. If that is what is done, then we will see that we'll have a change government in every society. That is exactly why we say, let us begin now to reorient ourselves. Tell ourselves that no, we can't stay back and gain the power. We have to be there, fight for it and get it.
So the Southern youths are, for you, you feel that they're docile, they're not doing enough by what you have just said?
Sorry?
By what you have said,
yeah.
Do you mean that Southern youths have been docile and they're not doing enough with participation in politics?
Yes. The political party is mostly within the Southern Nigeria. Political party is mostly, especially within this, our southeast, and of course south region, because they felt, in fact, that is what are they doing in politics. Even if we go and vote, even if we participate, still they will still rig the election in favor of somebody they want to go. So there is no need going there. Instead, let me go and face my business.
That's the thing. This thing has happened over and over and over and over again. And the only time we had the opportunity to even kill this apathy thing was 2023. And it's happened again.
Yes.
Right in our own eyes. Instead of you to acknowledge the fact that there was a glitch and redo the process so that the glitch can be, we can say, okay, presidential election we're separating it from the other ones. You can imagine, glitch did not affect the House of Reps election.
Yeah.
It did not affect the Senate. It was just the presidency. That will tell you that it was a grand plan all along.
Yes.
So if there's a glitch, why don't you stop everything for that presidential election, then redo it? But isn't that enough for someone to feel bad?
Yes.
That I'm not going to get into a process that will not be transparent. I mean, it's not a reason to withdraw your support for such system?
Fundamentally speaking, what you are saying is you are right. But in which case you are still in the government. If you withdraw from there, have you gone your own sovereignty? We are still in the same country. We have not gone gain sovereignty. So when you withdraw from the process of the system, then who do you expect to change the system? We are still within the system. So if we say we are not participating in Nigerian politics any longer because of the fact that they rigged election every time, and of course there is no doubt that the election was rigged. It was rigged in broad daylight. People's opinion was withdrawn from there, because majority of people came out this 2020 election. Many youths indeed came out en masse to vote because they wanted to change the system. But in which case, it was planned by the INEC. INEC people are the people that caused this problem that we are into today. So if they had done the election the way it was done, and then, transmit the result from the polling unit the same time it was the data of the Senate and the reps were transmitted, I don't think we'll be talking about this thing. And that is why today we are agitating for electronic voting. Electronic voting will give us a credible election, so that, and then the election should be conducted the same day. Both presidential elections, both National Assembly elections, both State House of Assembly elections, both the gubernatorial elections should be done at the same time, at the same day. So they do not give room for all this rigging. Because I know once a president wins, it will give pep way for many states to start rigging election in favor of that political party of that state, of that party that won at the national level. So that is why we are of the view that let elections be done the same time. All the elections should be done the same time, the same day. As you are going in to vote, you know that you are going in with about 5 voters' slips. You vote for the presidency, you vote for the National Assembly, you vote for the governor, you vote for the state of assemblies. At the same time, you leave, you wait and see that the result is cast. And the result should be transmitted immediately from that place down to the server. So that even with your phone, you can see the result. You can see the result. If INEC could do the needful, using this principle, I think come 2027 elections, we are going to have a credible election that the whole universe will learn from Nigeria.
Right.
That is my own take.
Prince, voting for all the positions the same day, do you think it's a welcome development as advocated by Cletus?
Of course, it's a welcome development. It's a nice, a nice idea. Because once the whole election is being done the same day, I don't think there will be room for all this unnecessary rigging. Because once the election of the president, they first do the presidential election, then later they come back and do the gubernatorial election. That means that the man on top will give the direction of what to do. So, but once the whole thing
it's done at the same time.
Done at the same time.
There won't be any room for rigging.
I don't think so.
Electronic voting.
And also this electronic voting. You know, INEC 2023, INEC was trying. They tried to do the right thing during national assemblies and other year, but at the presidential election, they just messed everything. They messed everything. They messed everything.
And we still have the person who oversaw or supervised that election still holding his position. I mean, and then he's also preparing and telling us that there's going to be several amendments to the Electoral Act going forward to 2027. He's still there, really. Do you think that for us to have, this mandate you're thinking, this group you are advocating that people should come out and participate in the governance structure as pertains to, the elections, do you think that having Mahmoud still remain as the INEC chairman, would increase or improve or decrease people's interest in the elections, Prince?
Of course, if Mahmoud is still the INEC chairman, definitely the people's interest will decrease. But I know, and I'm sure that before the election, Mahmoud will not be there.
You're sure?
I'm sure of that. Because,
a lot of things have happened. I mean, the police IG supposed to have actually left. His seat. He's still there.
I agree with you. I agree with you that in people say Nigeria factor. Nigerians are tired of this INEC chairman.
So why are you people not advocating for him to be removed? Why are you asking the youth to come and participate, or the same somebody
That is the reason why we are here. It's part of the reason why we are here. Because if this same man is still there as the INEC chairman that will conduct the 2027 elections, I don't think Nigerians will be, but there will be serious political party in Nigeria, because Nigerians no longer have faith in this current current INEC chairman. Many people will not, because they will tell that their vote won't count. What happened? He said, go to court. And they went to court. We saw the long 750 cases of a judgment that was given by the High Court and the Supreme Court. Just a case over this presidential election. So people will not have that trust in INEC so far as INEC chairman Mahmoud is still available on that seat. Unless you be removed, then at least people will come out, the youth will come out and vote on. Of course, we remember what happened last 2023. It's just that Obi said he doesn't want any violence. And he told the youth, we'll go to court, we will contest it in the court. He was quite diplomatic and quite peaceful, because he knew if he had said, go and fight or do, people would have been series of killings all over the country. So if you want to lead people, you don't lead people by that. And that was why Jonathan remains one of the most celebrated presidents in the universe today, because he said the blood of any Nigerian does not want the seat of the presidency does not want the blood of any Nigerian. So he cannot allow people to die because I want to be in power, because he will not remain there. You can't die in power. If you allow people to die, who are you now ruling? People say, like Frank Fanon say, a nation that eschews ideology and a nation that fails to understand the important relationship between ideas and reality is condemned to be overwhelmed by reality and to be destroyed by reality. While the atom bomb have clearly and swiftly is a destruction of a nation state, a drift of charted course, and a slow dance of death to the music of poverty, armed robbery, arrogance, Boko Haram, kidnappings, and everywhere. Look at what is happening today. It is because of a faulty governance. Assuming we have a very good government and elections are credible and free and fair, you could see that nobody will be willing to leave this country. Like today, I was just coming here. I read that 30% of workers in Lagos State that were sent abroad to go and receive training failed to return to Lagos. Government sponsored them. You can just imagine that kind of thinking in the nonsense school where I'm lecturing. Majority of them that are there schooling are schooling with the hope of leaving this country. Jackpot. Why would the people be thinking of leaving the country? The youth be thinking of leaving. The youth who are supposed to be, because the youth has the needed skills, manpower. This is a working class that will change the fortunes of every system, and they are leaving the country for another country where they are supplying their services. What then will happen to our own system? How many politicians' children are here in Nigeria schooling? Mention them. So that is why we are here as Southern youth people, to tell our youth, rather than giving you a gun, giving you what they call it, handouts to go and kick, they give you go, you smoke, you become stupid. Please don't follow these people. Their children are not here. Let us participate. Go, carry your voters card, go and vote. Wait there. Let us look at a credible candidate. In this context, we're not talking about political party here.
Right.
We are talking about
the candidate.
The candidate, a credible candidate that will have the moral mindset, the sincerity in that person. That when you look at the person's officially or physiognomy, you will know that yes, this person has the moral to do something for the people. He has conscience. Not those ones that will go there, they will go. In fact, whatever that is, look at the policy framework. Subsidy, unfortunately, subsidy is gone. Well, just a statement. Everywhere changed. And look at today. Before you go to any place, you spend so much money. How much money? The salary still is the same thing. So we are looking at candidates. A candidate that has the fear of God.
Right.
That will govern us. Thank you.
Let's leave it here. Prince Onyeka Mama and of course Nkweje Kletters Orim, many thanks for your time, and we truly appreciate this advocacy that you guys are doing. In due course, I'm sure that this is going to continue as we build up to 2027. So we just hope that things are done and done right too, in this country. Many thanks again for coming. Really
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. I really appreciate every one of you for being part of the broadcast this morning. We're connecting to our Abuja studios where my colleagues are waiting for the continuation of the morning show. I'm Charles Pius. Have yourselves a beautiful weekend just ahead.
You know, in our universities now, I'm not just talking about Nigerian universities, all over the world, students come out, with no jobs, I served as a provost of a university in the US for 8 years, and part of my major responsibility was curriculum renewal, faculty looking at curriculum, and you see still operating curriculum that has been outdated, and so when students graduate, there are no jobs. And so we put a number of things in place, which I can share, and which, that we can, I mean, part of the thing we said we will do was that, even if you're an English major, history, psychology, nursing major, before you graduate, you must have acquired a career-driven certificate program, a skills acquisition program. So you might be a nursing student, and by the time you graduate, you get a certificate in content creating, get a certificate in digital analysis, get something that, if you are not able to find jobs in your chosen field, you might start doing something, it will help you to assist. So you are employable immediately upon graduation. That is one thing that we tried to do. And then we went in and looked at, I told them then that I read English major, I teach African literature majorly, but I know when students come into the US, they want to get employment. I mean, the competition, if you are a PhD in English from Harvard, from Medgar College, from City University of New York, the competition is so great, all right? However, if you get a degree in what is topical in the health sciences, then you are sure at the end of your educational career, you are employed. Very good paying job. And so we said, let us revamp our allied health program. We had no allied health program in the college then, but we had to start instituting programs in allied health, in collaboration. So these are things you need to do to recreate, to revamp, so that the curriculum will be at the service of the students at the end. But the question is, how is it being done in Nigerian universities? Are we even talking about it? That is the question, and that is really part of my goal to, just want to, give back to what I learned as provost. It should play a major role. I mean, when you look at it, the college, the world is technologically advanced now. I mean, everything has to do with technology. And like I said, I'm English major, read English. I have the cell phone, And when you look at these days now, when we went to school, at every semester, we read about 10, 15 novels in a course. Now, if you ask students to read 6, 7, 5, even 5 novels, I mean, you are wasting your time, even though we have to do it. So how do you create a curriculum that will make use of those novels, but digitize them? So students will learn. Number one, students will read the novels, even if they're not read the novels. Students will apply the novels to a modern day world. Students will use the novels to learn content creating. Students will use the novels to do whatever they're doing on the internet. Students will use the novels for blogging, all right? And so how do you infuse that in the curriculum to make sure it happens? So what we are doing is kind of merging, for example, African literature with a curriculum in sciences, in technology. So applying that when students are not reading the entire novel, then how do you get them to read? You have to meet them where they are, and then use that to be employable at the end of their career.
we have male dominance in politics, which is number one. Men have dominated the political arena in Nigeria. We have educated women. We have women that have the zeal and the passion for politics, but the arena has been dominated by men. Men that, I'm sorry to say, they don't want to see women reach their desired position. So we have so many problems apart from the male domination. We have the religious